These should need no introduction. These are the ModMics by Antline. They've made them for years, and essentially you put on a really nice, like, headset-style boom arm microphone onto your favorite headphones, whether they're audiophile ones or not, so that you can have nice quality audio you can listen to, and your friends can hear your beautiful voice, all while having you have your favorite headphones with the convenience of a headset. As you can see, this is just the second variant, and they haven't made a new variant in a bazillion years because the first one worked so well. But we're going to see how these sound anyway in a little bit, but you got two versions, of course. You have your regular 3.5mm jack version and a USB version, which also comes with a USB-C adapter in case you need to use that for whatever reason. Maybe you're using it on some other device that uses it. Anyway, let's just crack this. Oh, that's a cute little Easter egg. Anyway, let's get this guy open and see what we have inside. Well, they both come in cases, so this is the regular, this is the USB, and you can actually tell the difference by the texture of the cases. This one's got that more kind of softy feel, this one's got that fake leathery kind of feel. Inside, you get the microphone itself. It's got a decently long cable, so you don't have to worry about like routing this all the way to the back of your PC and whatnot. So it is got a good degree of length, and you got your little magnet adapters and clips and whatnot, and a bunch of paperwork. The USB version is more or less the same, with also the very long cable. However, it ends in, of course, the USB jack, and comes with a USB-A to USB-C adapter. Once again, same stuff essentially. You got like the stuff to attach it to your headphones, and some paperwork. Alright, now while these microphones look very similar to each other, they're fundamentally different. With the standard one, not USB, it is definitely more analog. Even like the mute switch up here is more analog, And yeah, it's just pretty simple, straightforward. It is unidirectional to help like block out the noise around you, so it'll only be facing towards, your mouth, as you can see. You then gotta also make sure that this is actually pointing towards your face, because I can imagine some people putting this on and for some reason having this facing away from their face, because that can happen, I mean, look at this thing. Hard to tell sometimes. But in case you do get confused, there is a little mic picture on the right side that you should be talking into. Now, of course, the USB model is very similar. I mean, look at it. But it does look a little bit different. And, of course, that's the same situation where if you can't tell which side is the right side to talk into, there's a little microphone pictured there. But because it is a USB microphone, instead of having an analog switch, it has a button switch. So it would be done more digitally, you might say. And that isn't the only thing. This isn't like the other mic, the 2 mic that just came out along with it. While this is unidirectional, this one being USB, they decided to put a cardioid polar pattern microphone into this one. That being said, the USB variant should be noticeably better sounding than the unidirectional model, at least in theory. Now, if you're a previous owner of the ModMic, yes, it is compatible when it comes to the magnet. So the magnet you've had on your old ModMic will be compatible with the new one. So you don't have to like put a new one on that's different. They're essentially the same, so that's nice. Now, I do have one major criticism about the design. It has to do with this bit over here that holds the microphone in place, for you to switch sides on your headphones. Like, this bit I'm fine with. I just think the threads could be a little bit longer because of the thickness of the boom arm itself. When you like tack it in there, there's only so much room for you to screw it into, and that is not always like the most secure feeling in the world. I mean, on the non-USB version, it feels relatively secure, but on the USB version, where the boom arm is much thicker, there's only so much room you can screw into where it just doesn't feel all that secure. That, and because it's made of plastic, you can only screw it so tight before it starts slipping from its threads a little bit. So there's that concern. To prevent that, I have to squeeze it while doing it. And I'd rather not have to do that if I can help, because once I've done it, it's secure enough, but I feel like it can be done better, because if I don't, I can definitely feel it slipping on the threads a little bit if I'm not like pushing really hard as I'm screwing it in. So that could be improved. I mean, it is removable, so I guess they could sell it separately in the future, or maybe in future models, if they see this video, maybe they'll change it out. You never know. Would be nice to see it made of metal, but I guess it works enough, and that's what they went with. All right, now with all that stuff out the way, let's talk about how the microphones sound and whatnot, and a little bit of other things around that. So I'm currently using the 3.5mm jack microphone, and it is currently plugged into my PC, which is over here. The cable is 2 meters long, which should be long enough for most of you guys out there. And normally you would, I guess, tack this cable onto your headphone cable, but since I'm switching back and forth for testing, I'm not going to do that. And anyway, in this case, with this setup, it is recording on Audacity. I have the sound input on my sound settings for both this mic and the other mic, which you're going to hear in a bit, at 95. And between the two in my test, I did find the 3.5mm microphone to be a little bit more sensitive at its baseline. So if you have a loud projecting voice like I do, it's going to be a little bit loud. But if you just kind of like talk at a lower volume or you have a softer voice, then I think you're going to be fine at 95, but it also depends on like what kind of setup you have for your audio stuff inside, like your little PC and whatnot. Being a unidirectional microphone now, this means it only records from one side very well and should block out my voice if I switch it to the back. And as you can see here, if I'm like a separate person, this is how it's going to sound from here. And I guess if you're a guest from far away, I don't know if you can hear me, but you know, I'm an arm length away. It's going to be this far, and see if it captures my voice at all. Bringing it back to see if you can essentially hear the differences, because when it's far away you can barely hear me at all, and that is its noise canceling capabilities by being unidirectional. Now let's move to the USB microphone, which is designed to be more noise canceling for like the background and whatnot. Alright, now you're listening to the USB microphone. This is what it's going to sound like essentially, and you will notice, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that at 95% for like the sound settings, it is less sensitive of a microphone, but it still does a pretty good job picking up my voice, in my opinion, and I think it sounds a little bit better in some ways, in that my sound does seem a bit cleaner. I think there is a wee bit of bass loss at the low end, so there's less of the weight in my voice, but it's still there. But the key thing about this is it tries to have good quality sound while also doing noise canceling with its cardioid polar pattern. Being a USB microphone, it can do that stuff, so you know they can pull it off. So here's where I'm at the front, and I'm gonna move it away to see if you can still hear me from the back and far away. At least in arm's length away anyway. So here's the back side. I'm gonna move it further away. We're now at arm's length away. I don't know if you can hear me. Maybe it's just lips moving. I don't know. Now we're just gonna bring it back, and you know, there's your example there. And to further test this, let's try both of them by turning on like background sounds of a cafe really loud on my PC and whatnot. Alright, now you're listening back to the analog mod mic with the 3.5mm jack with background sounds of a cafe playing and at an uncomfortably loud volume. And it is going to try to cancel those sounds while listening to my voice. And this is how it's kind of handle it. But I guess we should test to see how well it does if I like bring it also away from my face, in case I'm, say, like a person next to me talking or something like that. So, I'm in the back. Let's bring it away. Now that we're going to bring it back here, that's the example with 3.5. Let's try the USB now. Alright, now we're in the same situation with the uncomfortably loud noise of like a cafe and playing in the background with the USB variant of the microphone now. And honestly, I think it is handling it way better while still getting like my voice in pretty good. But of course, you know, we're testing the noise canceling. We heard the voice quality, but I guess, you know, voice quality while doing a noise canceling test is important too. So if I was someone next to me, I'm going to bring this away and face it away from my face. Like so. I'm going to make it like an arm's length away, and I'm going to keep talking until, you know, it's like away essentially and whatnot. And, yeah, as you can tell, you probably can't hear me at all. Now that I'm back, you probably couldn't hear me at all, so honestly, that's really good noise canceling. Right now, as a fun bonus, I decided to use like the only older mic I have from Antline. So this is the ModMic Wireless, and this is how it's going to sound in for my test. This doesn't sound quite as good as the newer models. Granted, this is running on wireless, so there are limitations to that, but all things considered, it's not too bad in comparison. Here's what we're working with, so you have something to compare to. It has two modes. This is cardioid, and if I switch to omnidirectional, we get a wider vocal range, but I personally like the cardioid mode a little bit more, just because it's more homed in my voice and can therefore also, like, you know, being a cardioid microphone will block out more outside noise, because that's generally what I'll be using these for. I'm using them in comms to play games and whatnot. Might as well turn on my restaurant sound so you can hear what we're dealing with here, to see if it's even like blocking out that sound very well and listening to my voice a little bit better. And, you know, if I switch to cardioid, this is what we're kind of dealing with right here. So there's your idea. Let's also do the move away and face away, in case, like, to compare it to like if someone's around us. So let's face that away. And we're going to move it away from my face to see if this back into my face so you can hear me again. Switch to omnidirectional mode and then do the same exact thing, and we're going to move it away. Still can't hear me at all. And now I'm going to bring it slowly back, and here we back are on my face. Let's turn that thing off, because it's honestly, let me switch to also cardioid mode. It's honestly kind of loud, and I can hear it through my headphones. So that's a bit rough, but, you know, there's your comparison in case you want to compare to an older mic. And I would use a wired one, but I don't have one. This is all I have. All right, now we're back on the ModMic 2 USB edition. And once again, you can hear that the sound quality on this is much better compared to, like, the old ModMic wireless, you know, capsules. So, you know, there you go. The proof is in the pudding. I don't really want to make this video too long because, honestly, you guys are just here to see what they all sound like compared to each other and the differences and whatnot. And it is definitely clear that the newer ModMic 2 systems are better sounding, and yeah, it's basically all all you really need to know. But I guess let's also play with like the regular 3.5mm jack and adjust the sound setting and turn down the input volume just a little bit to see if it also sounds better. All right, now we're listening to the regular ModMic 2 3.5mm jack variant with my sound input settings adjusted down to 80 instead of 95, which I had earlier on my computer. So now that's set down a little bit, so it's less, at a lower level to make up for like the peaking we had, or getting close to peaking we had earlier. You can now hear that my voice sounds much better. It is more controlled. It is much cleaner sounding because I've adjusted the input. And this then also means that if you got either of these microphones, do make sure that if you sound, the sound you're getting isn't quite where you want it to be, whether it's too loud or too quiet, jump into your sound settings to make sure your input volume settings aren't too high or too low. So, while these technically are both plug and play essentially to work, sometimes you need just a little bit extra like fine tuning to make sure that it's good to go. But once it's set, you're basically good to go for the rest of its existence. And that being said, that's basically all I have for today. I don't want to get too deep into it because the proof in how the set sounds is already throughout the video. If you want to reverse and compare, you can do that and whatnot. Proof is in the pudding. These are good microphones. This is a great improvement to ModMic's older stuff. And all things considered, I am hoping that I'm also going to maybe see a ModMic 2 wireless soon, perhaps with USB-C for charging rather than micro USB, because that's dumb. But, we don't know how long that's going to take to come out. Maybe it's soon. Maybe it's much later. Who knows? But the fact that there is a ModMic 2 and there are improvements, I'm expecting a wireless model soon. But, that's just my hope and stuff like that. But we'll see. In the meantime, if you're okay with using wired stuff because, maybe you like doing the adjustments and maybe you have something to plug your stuff into for that kind of stuff, or you're okay with being wired, here they are. They're pretty good. If you want to buy them, I'll leave a link down in the description. And that's all I got today. This video is getting long. I don't want to make it any longer than it already is because, it's basically a giant sound test for you guys to, get an idea of how they sound. So, I'll leave it at that. I'm done. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.